Coming to you straight from Fremont, California, this is the Fremont Podcast, dedicated to telling the stories of the past and present of the people and places of the city of Fremont, one conversation at a time. Now, here's your host, Ricky B.
Hello, Fremont, and welcome back to episode 3 of the Fremont Podcast. We've only just begun this journey together, exploring the stories of people and places that make up this happy city. And already it has been truly amazing. I've been thrilled by the responses from you just after a couple episodes. I mean, the engagement that I've had with many of you relating to the stories and comments that have already been shared on this podcast have demonstrated to me that this is something that you want to be a part of and that you think that our city needs. So thank you for your comments. Thank you for your follows and kind ratings. And thank you for sharing this with others. Really am grateful that you are a part of this conversation. Before we jump into this week's episode, I want to briefly share with you a couple interesting facts about Fremont that have come to my attention from some of you who have added to the list of interesting facts that we had in episode 1. So here are a few, we'll just do 2 interesting facts about Fremont. Number 1, Teddy Ruxpin was created in Fremont. Now, this is going to take some of you back to your childhood. Some of you have no idea what I'm talking about, but you can Google it. Teddy Ruxpin was considered, quote, the world's first animated talking toy. And I remember Teddy Ruxpin being advertised on TV when I was a kid. I don't think I ever had one, but I remember seeing Teddy Ruxpin being advertised on TV. So he was created here in Fremont. And then number 2, the second interesting fact for the day for this episode is that Machine Head has a song named American High, named after American High School. That's right. So Machine Head named their song American High after American High School. Here are a couple of lyrics from the song that kind of tie us in. It begins, there's a verse that begins by saying, I was that kid that was, and then it says a bunch of things. And then further down in that section, it says, the outcast that was starting up a band. Fremont was the town, California bound, Bay Area sound. And that's from the song American High. So those are our 2 interesting facts that I have for you that were given to me by some of you that reached out after listening to episode 1. So thank you for that. Thank you for the shout out. I am all about more interesting facts, and we'll share more of them on future episodes if you have them to share. I've already started making a list of future interesting facts that I'll share. So as we continue in this podcast, I will be sure to share those with you. All right. So, as I mentioned in episode 1, in 2021, Wallet Hub gave Fremont the title, quote, the happiest city in America. You don't have to look very far in Fremont to realize that not everything or everybody is happy here. As a matter of fact, my guest today has committed herself to helping some of the people in our community who have suffered the most and are dealing with the memories of horrible experiences that they have gone through. So without saying too much more, I want you to join me now as we hear how the efforts of one Fremont-based nonprofit is making the lives of victims of abuse a little happier, one room at a time. Well, today I have Tracy, a new friend, with me. She is the I guess the manager or the
executive director
of Room Redux here in the Bay Area, but specifically centered or based in Fremont. And so I'm really excited about having Tracy here to talk to me about herself, but also about the nonprofit that she's a part of. And just the fact that it's here in Fremont is really exciting to me, because I think we need more organizations like this doing the kind of work that you're doing. So Tracy, it's good to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So let's just jump right in. I want to hear your story. I actually don't know much about you, so I want to hear your story. Maybe what brought you to the Bay Area, or specifically what brought you to Fremont, and then we can talk about Room Redux a little bit.
Okay. I don't know that my story is very different than other people's, but I'm a mom.
Okay.
I have 2 adult daughters. I grew up in Colorado, moved to California, and then moved to Fremont when my husband got a job out here.
Okay.
So I think my daughters were 6 months and 3 or something like that. So moved to Fremont and just kind of found my way, went through school and participated in the schools and stuff and worked, and then started Room Redux a couple of years ago. So
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, a quick question for you. I
Yes.
didn't even prep you for this, but like,
That's okay.
do you have like one, maybe one very clear or distinct thing that you love about Fremont, or a memory that you have of your time while you've lived here in Fremont that you can share with us?
There's so many. Actually, you know what? Honestly, I have to say, when I started the nonprofit, I think because my kids had been little, I was involved in their school, but I think I was very centrally located, like kind of in the Warm Springs area, Wybell area. I didn't veer up to northern Fremont. You guys can't see me doing air quotes, but northern Fremont very often, just because I was busy down there. And so I think when I started this nonprofit and I joined the Chamber of Commerce, it really opened up a whole world to me that I had not really participated in or seen. And that's one thing, like, if I can ever tell people, is to get involved more in the community, because I'll hear people say things and I'm thinking, you aren't really participating, I can tell, because you don't know all there is to offer.
Yeah.
There's so much in Fremont. It's really amazing.
I'm going to have you give me a quick pitch for that too, because the other day when we talked before this conversation, you asked me if I was part of the Chamber of Commerce, which I am in the process of working all of those details out. But give me a pitch as to why being involved in the Chamber of Commerce is important, especially for small businesses. And I guess that's basically what it is. But how does that benefit our community for a business to be involved in the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, I think for me, one thing was I didn't really have the resources. So I was starting this nonprofit. I've never done anything like this. I didn't know who to go to. At the time, there was a woman named Kiki that was working there, and they were doing a class. So it was a free class. I came in, I did this workshop. It was really amazing. But I think really it's a couple things. You get to know a lot of people. I now have met, Lily May, the mayor. I've met council members. And I have to say, they're all amazing people. Like, they're really kind. They're really involved in the community. But I think what it does is it ties you to the community in a way that you really haven't seen before, that you don't have the opportunity to do very often. Plus, there's a lot of advantages too. Like, if I needed something, I could reach out to someone and say, hey, do you know of a trucking company? Tina Fernandez, who works with HERS, breast cancer, had heard me say that I needed some kind of transportation for the room transformations. So she immediately came over and said, hey, we work with Cresco Equipment Rental, and they're fabulous. And, they do donations to nonprofits. And because of her, we got a 14-foot box truck donated to us once a month.
Wow.
And all it was just communicating with her and having that connection with her. So I think for me, it's really been that sense of connection with other people in the community. When we do like the street eats, we get to set up a table there 2 times during the street eats at no charge to us. So it gives us an opportunity to be in front of the community, to get to know people, kind of put our information out there.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's just a lot. It's really a lot of things. And within that too, you meet all the people from the Niles Rotary. You meet just amazing. I really can't say enough about it. By the way, I get nothing of this. It's not like I get a kickback. It's not even like I'm a part of the chamber. I'm really not. But I just feel like it gave me that sense of belonging. It's like when you're in a school and you join a club.
Right.
it gives you that sense of belonging. And then it also gives you kind of, you see what's needed in the community and how you can help.
That's awesome. I think that's one of the reasons why I initially and still do want to have this podcast is because I feel like one of the things that Fremont, I was just talking with one of the other interviews that I had, and we were saying that Wallet Hub last year labeled Fremont as the happiest city in America, right?
Yeah.
And I do think that there's a lot to support that, but I also feel like we're in some ways very we're diverse, but we're also very divided in a lot of ways because we have our own little bubbles. We have our own ways of doing things. We have our own places that we go and things. But I do think that one of the things that's going to make Fremont a better place and even a happier place. I mean, how can you prove I'm perfect? But is that we learn how to either cross-pollinate or get to know one another, share in each other's endeavors, each other's dreams, and that sort of thing. And so I think that that's what I hope to see happen out of the podcast, but it's also great when other organizations like the Chamber of Commerce or other things are functioning in a way to be able to see that happen as well.
Yeah. I think you see that in Fremont. I mean, I totally understand what you're saying. Because when I first moved here, my children were little. I even saw that at the school. And I kind of, I compare it to kind of like cliques in high school. Like you would kind of see these little groups of people, even with the parents, that had kind of, you're all in your own little areas or you have the group that's like the baseball families or the whatever. But what I do see now, and especially I have to say the one positive that I really saw going through COVID and going through the pandemic was all these different groups of people just coming together to do, for others. Yeah. For instance, I know like the booster clinics and the vaccine clinics, were in need of more. And the Sikhs up in, northern Fremont they opened up this area and started giving boosters, and just an amazing group of individuals. The first group of individuals to set up a food table for people and all these things. And then I think too that I see that all the time, and this is going to sound weird, in the 4th of July parade. I have so missed the 4th of July parade. And I don't. I go every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. I missed it. I was looking forward to it this last year, and I think there was even talk that it was going to happen, but I think
and then it didn't. Yeah. But I think where you see that sense of community is something like that, where it's really interesting to me. Every time I watch it, and I'm going to sound hokey, my kids always laugh at me, but I tear up every year during the parade. And no joke. And I always think to myself when I watch it, I'm like, this is what America looks like. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. And you see all of these people, you see, the Sikhs are walking around handing out water. You see groups of, we have like a Chinese dance community that's there. It's just all these different groups of people coming together to celebrate a day of our community and our nation. And I think it's amazing.
That's great. I hope we have it this year.
I do too.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I know. See, I have goosebumps. I get it's just a fun place and a fun way to see the community all together.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, speaking of our community and things that you enjoy, I want to hear about Room Redux. And so I connected with you through Instagram and started trying to figure out what exactly you do. And the more that I've talked with you, our conversation on the phone the other day, I'm really excited about the work that you're doing. But it's new. I mean, this is something that you just started doing within the last year or year
couple
and a half.
Years, yeah, couple years.
Yeah. So Room Redux is the nonprofit that Tracy's the executive director for. And so tell us a little bit about what Room Redux is, and then kind of what's your story of getting involved in that and bringing it to our area.
Sure. So Room Redux is a 501c3 nonprofit. So if you make a donation to us, it's tax deductible. So we're a nonprofit that transforms the rooms of children that have faced physical or sexual abuse and trauma. So what happened was our founder, Susie Vieberl, found that there was kind of this missing link in the healing of children. So what happens is they'll go through counseling, they go through therapy, and then oftentimes they'll go back to the room where the abuse happens. They sleep in the same bed where the abuse happens. And so they're trying to heal, but the entire time they have all of these physical triggers that kind of, they resurface, all these memories resurface because of all these triggers in their rooms. Something, honestly, I had never even thought about. So we come in and we completely transform their rooms. We bring them new beds, new bedding. We work with mattress firms, gives us a discount on mattresses. So we bring in new mattresses. We do top to bottom. We've done rooms where we've done flooring, lighting, painting, all new furniture. All of the rooms are personalized for the children, so their likes and needs. And then we also work with their counselors and therapists. We try not to take too much of their time because, as you guys know, they're crazy busy. But we work with them in order to also implement and kind of instill things in the room that they need for ongoing healing. So whether it be weighted blankets, fidget spinners, water features, things like that. And the cool thing is we do it in one day.
Wow.
So we bring everything
That's awesome.
top to bottom. We're in and out in one day.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. One of my mom's favorite shows was Extreme Home Makeover. Yeah. And so I think there was always the dream of that happening, but I think that it's amazing that you guys are doing something very similar to that for these kids that are going through such a difficult time. That's amazing. So how did you get involved? I mean, like what, and are there more of these around the area, or what is, how did you get connected in with Room Redux?
So I'm trying to remember years now, because as we all know, it's months, years, they're all the same.
Last year was 2019.
I know.
Forever.
I was like, I don't even know what day of the week it is half the time. But so I think it was in 2019. Things just felt a little chaotic in the world. There was a lot of negativity. There was a lot of negative things on TV. And I was honestly feeling very discouraged by it. And so I just decided that instead of feeling discouraged, I wanted to find a way that I could make a difference. But as most of us feel, it's very overwhelming, right? We think, how can we make a difference?
Right.
We're just one person. So I decided to look within our community and see what opportunities there were. And just on social media, it was just happenstance. I came across a video and saw what they were doing. And my background, I have a degree in psychology and human development from Cal Poly. So my background is that. And I'm also an avid, like your mother, I watch every home makeover show. I love interior design.
HGTV.
Yeah, and had actually just looked into going back to the San Francisco Art Institute to do classes to become an interior designer.
Wow.
So I was doing all of this at the same time and came across this organization, and I thought, wow, this is really, it's like a combination of the two things I love. And I've always been like involved with my kids' school and events with with children, and kind of the team mom type of thing, spirit mom, stuff like that. So I just felt like this was something where I could make a difference. So I reached out, found out they were in Texas of all places, and was like, well, that's kind of far, but so I talked to the founder, and I just love her. Her name's Susie Vieberl. I call her, she's like a unicorn, because I called her, talked to her. She is this vegan, animal loving, peace and love. Yeah. In New Braunfels, Texas, which is the cutest town. If you've never been there, it's absolutely adorable. It's like a little German town. So I flew out there to meet with her and ended up doing 2-room transformations, and decided to start a chapter in California.
That's awesome.
So.
And I think you told me that this is the only chapter in California right now.
There's actually 2 now.
Okay.
So when I started the chapter in the Bay Area, very soon after that, we got a contact from someone on LinkedIn. His name is Ryan and Alexis. They're a couple up in Sacramento. And Ryan's a detective. He works with cybercrime unit with children, and wanted to be on this end of things where he could actually really, I mean, he makes a huge difference there, but he wanted to see kind of the happy side of it.
That's awesome.
So they started a chapter in Sacramento as well. So we have the 2 chapters in California, but always looking to expand, because it's a huge place.
Yeah, that's great. Well, one of the things that I think came to my mind, and I'm just curious to hear what your thoughts are, any feedback on this, is that, I mean, when I think of Fremont, I know not everybody has this opportunity, but I live in a neighborhood that I really enjoy, and I have neighbors that we get along, and it seems like it's a great place. I mean, especially during COVID, it was a great street to live on, and I couldn't imagine anybody going through any kind of any children going through abuse in my neighborhood. And I think as you drive around, and again, going back to the fact that Fremont was labeled the happiest city in America, you kind of think that abuse happens in other places, in other major cities.
Yeah.
Is that something I would think is that something that's really needed here? I mean, is Fremont a place that this actually is important to have as part of the community. I mean,
Yeah.
what are the statistics like in this area? What is it? What is
You'd really like to think it's not, right? We
Yeah.
all like to think it's not, but unfortunately, child abuse is prevalent everywhere. Everywhere. And unfortunately on the rise because there's a lot of stressors. And anytime people are under stress, it just, stressors, financial issues, things like that are going to make it even worse. We don't have specific. It's interesting because in California, for me, I find it challenging to get statistics and I think a lot of that is just protection, security, confidentiality. But in California as a state, there's over 500,000 reports of child abuse a year.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. And then we also have every 9 minutes, there's a substantiated case of child sexual abuse.
Oh my goodness.
In the United States. So the statistics are staggering. By the age of 18, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will have faced some sort of sexual abuse. So I think we like to think it doesn't happen. I know when I was growing up, and I'm going to date myself a little, we always talked about stranger danger.
Right.
We had the McGruff dog. And, but the reality is, I can't remember the exact statistic. I want to say it's 90% of abuse happens because of somebody it's somebody in your inner circle. So yeah,
Wow.
you hate to say it because you don't want people to be
skeptical or
you don't want to be fearful of
Right.
everybody around you, but you also want to understand that we see it in the news all the time.
Right.
It's a coach, it's a teacher, it's a clergyman.
Yeah.
Predators and people who are looking for children find a way to weasel their way into things.
Yeah.
So you have to be really cautious as a parent and
I
as a
hate that.
caregiver. Yeah, I do too.
Wow.
I do too.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate what Room Redux is doing. I think that I think just going through what everyone has gone through with COVID, in some sense, being stuck in your room and whatever kind of trauma we want to attach to that, because I'm sure there's been trauma on a lot of different levels has risen during COVID.
Yeah.
But even just the fact that being able to have a change of space where you're not just stuck with the place that has bad memories and has negativity attached to it, I think is really, really great. So I love what you're doing, and I'm just curious, like, if people are listening to this and they want to be involved maybe in helping support what you're doing or becoming more aware of what you're doing, like how can they do that? Like, what do they do?
Oh yeah. We love volunteers. So we are, and I should state too, at least our Fremont location, we are an all volunteer organization. So none of us get paid. Okay. We're all volunteers. And it's just through volunteers, donations, grants, and sponsorships that we're able to fund our rooms. Yeah. So they can go to our website, and I'm gonna read this off because you know how it is. Bay Area Cali. So it's bayareacali.roomredux.org.
Okay.
You can go there.
Okay.
You can visit.
I'll put this information in the show notes too, so that people can.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You can also we're on social media. Mm-hmm. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're starting.
Nice.
If there's anybody who's really good at TikTok, call me.
Yeah.
So TikTok, LinkedIn. So on all of the social media platforms, and social media is actually a great way to find us because you can see like our before and after photos and things like that. But we definitely need volunteers, and not just for the rooms. We need people to join us for the room transformations. And by the way, you don't have to be talented. You don't have to be someone who knows how to, redecorate or do anything like that. We do a lot of different things in the room: cleaning, folding clothing, hanging things up, so anybody can help. But we also always need like administrative help, social media, all of those kind of things. So any of that stuff,
and
then
contact us. How far do you guys like reach? So I mean, you live in Fremont, but like, do you help? Just in case, there's somebody else in the Bay Area that's across the bridge and they're like, I really like that, but I don't live in Fremont.
Right.
Like, so how far do you guys?
We have volunteers actually from Hollister to San Francisco. But we are the Bay Area location. Now, obviously there's limitations to that just because, we're only a small organization, but we've done houses in Oakland. We've done houses in, near Gilroy, Morgan Hill. all over the place.
Okay.
So you really can reach us anywhere.
Okay.
And if you're someone who listens to this and thinks, wow, I'd really like to be involved and maybe start my own chapter, you can contact us too.
Yeah.
And you can contact us at Room Redux Cali at Gmail
Okay.
and reach out to us there. But yeah,
Awesome.
we're happy to help someone start a chapter as well.
That's great. Wow. Well, Tracy, thank you so much for being
you.
here. I've loved having you on here, and I'm really excited about what you guys are doing. I really hope that this helps get some of the word out, and maybe, have you back on here and again, and we hear that this actually made a difference and some people actually got on board with this. And
That would be awesome. That would be fantastic. Yeah. So, I mean, and anyone can go to our website and they can refer someone, find hotlines, maybe you need to, report a suspicion of child abuse. So anyone can do that. But thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This was a lot
I'm
of fun.
excited. Yeah, this is great. And all of these details will be on show notes, and you can, like Tracy said, you can find them on social media. That's how I found her.
Yeah. That's how I found you.
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
right.
excited about
Yeah.
your podcast.
Thank you.
I'm super
Thank you
excited.
so much. Yeah. Well, I'm eager to see it off and running. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. That'll be
thank
great.
you.
Yeah. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Fremont Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever it is that you listen so you don't miss an episode. And if you're so inclined, leave a kind review so that others can find the podcast. To stay connected with us, you can find links to our social media and other content at thefremontpodcast.com. This episode was hosted, edited, and produced by Ricky B. Music provided through Soundstripe.com. I'm Gary Williams. Join us next week on the Fremont Podcast.